What's an encounter with a celebrity you've had where they were an absolute dick? I was sitting in the lounge in one of the big music studios in Hollywood. And Bruno Mars walks up, looks at me, and says, "Where the duck is my cab?" I looked at him and said, "Who the duck are you?" I really had no idea who he was, haha. But dude did act like an absolute big dick. Nicest guy ever, Billy Ray Cyrus. The studio had a policy that you're never supposed to touch the food any of the artists order or bring in, and you're especially not supposed to take any home. As I was leaving, he slipped me 2 huge meat and cheese trays out the door when no one was looking. As an intern trying to make it as an audio engineer, that sustained me for almost 2 weeks. Oprah didn't tip me on a $200 lunch. Instead, she signed a napkin for me and acted like she was doing me a huge favor. The kicker was when she walked in. They gave away all of my other tables so she didn't have to wait for anything. So I made $4 an hour for 2 hours for the privilege of serving Oprah, and she goes on and on about signing a napkin for me that I never asked for. Used to work at a Hard Rock hotel. Mariah Carey was the absolute definition of a ducking diva. She used a bunch of employee passageways, and we were instructed that if we looked her in the eyes we would get written up. We were also told that we had to immediately vacate any room that she entered, even if we were in the cafeteria on break or in the bathroom doing our business. She's an asshole on top of that too. A few of her backup dancers accused her of sexual assault during Me Too, and nothing ever came of it. Back in the 90s, I worked on the stage musical production of Beauty and the Beast. The guy who played the talking clock is an Australian celebrity by the name of Bert Newton. He always used to say hi and make conversation until he found out I was one of the lighting crew. After that, he wouldn't even glance at me. Slightly related. On the same show, I used to hang out with the dude that played Gaston at stage door having a ciggy during interval. I only recently discovered that it was Hugh Jackman. Really nice dude. Probably 10 or 11 years ago, I was working BTS of a WWE house show. My job was to find the contest winners and bring them to introduce them to a couple of the biggest stars. My immediate report went to Ricky Steamboat, who was incredible. I had a question for him. Don't remember what it was anymore. But he was standing there talking to Chris Jericho. Not wanting to be rude, I stood to the side, waiting for their conversation to end before I interrupted. Jericho stopped mid-sentence, looked at me and said, "Are you ducking lost?" When Ricky turned around to see who Jericho was talking to, he recognized me and was super pleasant and answered my question. But Jericho was pissed and thought I was a groupie or something. Mid-90s. Worked at a golf course that was so exclusive not even Michael Jordan could be a member. The day was very rainy and the course was closed to everyone except the foursome Jordan was in. He ran late. The other 3 started without him. He arrived. They loaded his clubs on the cart. I was standing probably 50 feet away as he was getting ready to leave and meet his group. No one else around. There was nothing for me to do since no one else was on the course or the driving range. I'm not gawking or anything. Just kinda marveling at how tall he is. They don't look so tall on TV. He calls me over. "How can I help you, Mr. Jordan? Can I have that towel?" "Of course, sir. Thanks. I knew you were good for something nice." For those asking. EGC and Skokie. IL. I wasn't implying he wanted to be a member. Just that he wouldn't be allowed because they were racist. I met Tom Cruise once walking down Rodeo Drive. I went up to him and shook his hand. He pulled me in close and whispered "Hail Hydra" in my ear. My uncle works at a Vegas casino. None of the Kardashians or Jenners tip anyone. Ever. He was with them for over 3 hours and didn't receive a dime and was treated like total garbage. Scott Disick, however, is a great tipper and great guy all around. This goes both ways. I ran into Kirstie Alley 25 years ago, when Veronica's Closet was on. She was quiet, but sweet. People came up and wanted photos, but she was with her kids and politely declined, citing her kids. Nearly everyone acted like she had slapped them and turned them down. But she was calm and gracious. Kinda made me sad. I guarantee that half of these stories are caused by fans being big digs and expecting their hero to respect their crazy fandom. Exactly. I just wanted to say hi. And chat for 30 seconds and maybe take a picture. Was that so much to ask? One person? No. Constantly. Every time you're out in public? Yes. Barbara Streisand wasn't a big dig. She was a total and complete hunt to every stagehand working her show. Duck her. I had a friend whose elderly father was a lifelong Streisand fan. Her father ended up with terminal cancer. And in his last year his adult children contacted Streisand explaining his situation and hoping to get a signed picture to surprise him with before his death. A letter was sent back on Streisand's behalf explaining that she simply has too many fans to accommodate requests like that. My friend would never watch one of her movies again. I met Chevy Chase many years ago. Everything you've heard is probably true. I met Woody Harrelson at health food store. I didn't realize it was him. We were talking in line. At first I thought he was being an asshole, but it turns out he is actually a really cool guy. Ran into Pierce Brosnan while on vacation in Hawaii before Daniel Craig took the role of James Bond. He was in a gift shop and we bumped into each other. Out of surprise I pulled out my finger gum and shot him in classic Bond fashion. Right in the gut. He staggered back and held his stomach. Slowly dying in this gift store in front of me. As a 12-year-old it was the coolest thing ever. Reversal story. Once worked for a large movie company. I was pissed off and at the end of my workday. So when I saw an open elevator not crowded with folk as I was leaving, I quickly got in and pressed my floor number when I heard a thick voice behind me, sounding a bit far away, saying, "Hold the door." I pretended not to hear given sheet mood. Doors are closing and I turn. That's when Schwarzenegger's pissed off face appears behind the slit between the ever closing doors. "I asked you to hold the door," then they shut in his face and the elevator went down. "I'm so sorry T800. Met Naomi and Wynonna Judd at a meet and greet session at Kmart corporate headquarters. I had a Kmart store planned from their hometown for them to autograph. Wynonna was a complete U-brick. She scribbled her name on it and then crunched up the paper and threw it at me with some sarcastic comment about rednecks and hillbillies. Then her mom, Naomi, took the paper, gently smoothed it out and told me that it was the most thoughtful thing she had autographed all day. Very nice and genuine woman. How are those two blood related ? Went to Gen Con a few years ago and Will Wheaton was right behind my husband and I. I'd had a huge crush on him as a young girl and looked up to him. I turned around and asked if he minded if I snapped a quick photo. He pretended that I never spoke. His wife gave me these sad eyes and then his ducking lackeys explained that he doesn't talk to fans. Well, duck you too, dude. You could have spoken to me. We were 3 feet apart. Now I can't watch any episodes or movies he is in. It hills it for me. I see his true nature. I never said anything mean. I respected his personal space. And walked away after being told no. I didn't force an over-the-shoulder selfie either. This is late. But it needs to be said. I was a bookstore worker for a large chain in a popular city. We did a ton of author signings and talks. Authors are almost universally great. George R.R. Martin was fantastic and really insightful to fans' questions. Stephen King is awesome and stays for everyone. Chuck Palahniuk is great. And really hilarious. Toni Morrison stayed and talked in the coffee shop for hours. Margaret Atwood knows more about books and sci-fi than literally anyone I've ever met. However, the sheet crown goes to Mitch Albom. He's a colossal big dig to everyone. He openly berated the baristas and the cafe for his coffee's lack of quality. He was a brick to every employee. He sat in this super tight t-shirt and sat with his left arm behind his right to try and push out his biceps and look buffer. Which is hilarious. Because he's maybe 5'6" and 130 pounds. I'm not going to go as far and say he sexually harassed women. But he was slimy and gross to every woman in sight from ages 18-45. It was the worst signing ever. Plus, he acted like Tuesdays with Maury is wisdom on level with the Dalai Lama. My boss actually had to ask him to leave immediately when his scheduled signing was over. His handler agent was a very nice woman who was clearly sick of his sheet. That poor lady. Worked in a cinema that hosted premieres, so always dealt with the celebrities during premieres and red carpet events. You really get to know who the big digs are based on how they interact with you. Jennifer Lawrence was by far the worst celebrity I ever encountered. She showed up an hour late because she decided to visit a friend beforehand, so it delayed all of us. Then complained about people shouting at her while she was walking the carpet, and then she snapped her high heel while walking down the stairs, and for some reason that was also our fault. Nothing but hostility from that woman. On the other hand, Tom Hanks was the nicest. Met Richard Branson once. He was nice, but since his name is Richard Branson followed me around the international wing of SF Airport. Really freaked me out. Finally ended up talking to me. I had found the line I needed to be and was sort of cornered and couldn't get out of it. Talked to me about nothing. Where I was going and why I was going to that particular place. Didn't even want to know why I wasn't flying there again. Too bad. Because I would have told him. I told a British friend of mine about it and she said that he is kind of known for that. That he trailed a friend of hers who was driving somewhere in London. I can't recall. And then hopped out his car from behind hers when he could. To ask he why she had a bumper sticker opposing the badger cull. He wasn't pro cull. He just wanted to know. So weird. Nice suit though. Really good tailoring. I met Amy Schumer at a hotel bar. The bar was crowded. And I had no idea it was dominated by her and her friends. I sat down next to one of her people. And ordered. Amy leaned over her friend and says, "What exactly makes you think you should be here?" I shrugged and said the open seat was my first hint. She looked so insulted. And her friend who I was next to gasped. The bartender goes to put my drink on the bar for me. And Amy puts her meaty hand on his arm and is like, "No, don't serve this asshole. He needs to go." Some dude in a black polo came over and said that I was bothering Miss Schumer. And needed to leave. I told him I had no idea who this lady was. At the time I had never heard of her and her stolen jokes. He grabbed me by my shirt collar with one hand. And gave me the whole macho easy way. Or the hard way bit. I told him that that line sounded good coming from Stallone. But not from him. Amy then screams, "Just get the duck out." So I beat feet. I didn't see any reserve sign on the bar. And I wasn't trying to chat up her friend. Ducking weirdo itch. I just wanted a couple whiskers. Edit. So someone sent me a death threat because I badmouthed a big mouth. Look. I'm a small-time comic comedy writer who makes money off of quick comebacks. My jokes with Miss Schumer and the security guard were candid and disrespectful. Yes. But they come naturally to me after doing this for so long. And they were a reaction to her rude behavior. Also, thank you so much to the user who gave me gold. Much love. I work at a casino and I see quite a few celebrities. Firstly, Kevin James treated just about every employee like they were wasting his time. Just get it done. JLo was banned from one of the casinos I worked, and Mariah and JLo were both banned from the other. JLo famously told upper management she didn't want poor people looking her in the eyes and wanted any staff that went near her to look down. She also demanded a new mattress in our villa, custom made bed BTW, at 3 AM. Then tried to get the casino to essentially break into a mattress store she had and aid Google for the mattress she wanted them to buy. God, I'm gonna be here all night lol. Oh, one more. Charles Barkley is the worst gambler I've met in my life. That dude couldn't win a hand if you rigged the deck lol. William Shatner. Paid for a meet and greet. I fumble for my ticket token to give to the security guy. It literally took 3 seconds of fumbling. He then yells, "Hurry up, will you?" He clearly did not want to be there. Took a photo and shoved me aside. Best celebrity was Ron Perlman. Was on the same day. A girl in a wheelchair was in front of me. He gets down onto her level and asks her if she is enjoying herself and really gave off the vibe like he gave a shit. He came up to me and firmly shook my hand with a big smile and gave me a one-armed hug and said thanks for coming by. The dude's a saint. I wrote to Eminem but he never called me back. I even left my pager, my cell and my home phone at the bottom. I sent 2 letters back last autumn but I don't think he received them. I went to his concert and he didn't speak to me but that was fine, but I wished he'd signed an autograph for my brother Matthew. He's only 6 years old. We waited for him for 4 hours and he just said no. He wasn't a celebrity yet, but I had summer calculus with Tom Brady. He was very comfortable assuming that anyone who addressed him was a fanboy trying to ride his big dick. It made group work somewhat difficult. Jennifer Lopez. Anyone who has had to arrange for her visits or done military protocol for her USO tours or whatever knows how off the walls batshit crazy she is. She came to visit Ramstein a long time ago and the general's quarters, the nicest place on a very nice base, weren't good enough for her because everything has to be white. Every single thing. So we frantically found her a hotel room in Frankfurt, 90 minutes away, which was as all white as could be found, and had the pleasure of driving her to from multiple times a day while she nagged about making other cars on the autobahn slow down. Why her hotel was so far. Why she couldn't get her favorite American drinks at a rest stop. etc. She expected Pope and presidential level treatment. She is absolutely horrible. So her attitude matches her music.